How to Train Your Dragon is yet another unnecessary live-action remake of an animated classic that does very little, if anything, to separate itself from the original, playing it almost insultingly safe. Here is my review. Directed by Dean DeBlua, who was one of the directors of the original How to Train Your Dragon, and starring Mason Thames, Nico Parker, as well as Gerard Butler, who reprises his role of Stoic the Vast. This is pretty much a bar-for-bar copy of the original animated film. It's almost like DreamWorks said, what if we made the same movie over again, but with none of the sauce and a fraction of the emotional power? Because you see, I believe the original How to Train Your Dragon is one of the better animated films of the 21st century so far. It's great the way it is, even 15 years after its release. And I'm generally not a fan of live-action remakes. I find them to be tacky attempts to lazily capitalize on the nostalgia from the original, and they are often nowhere near as good or as enjoyable as the original animated work. And look, if I had never seen the original How to Train Your Dragon, or if it didn't exist, I may have thought this movie was okay. I may have even liked it, as it's the same story I fell in love with when the original came out. But I have seen the original before, and I think it's better in every way, rendering this experience hollow. The original is more charming, it's more succinct, it's funnier, it's more thrilling. The characters and the voice performances in the original are more likable than the characters and the live-action performances behind them in the remake, with maybe the exception of Nico Parker as Astrid. The score in the original feels livelier, the atmosphere feels more fantastical, and the original still looks stunning for the most part. This remake does not. It's visually unappealing. Some movies should just stay animated. There's so much you can do with animation that you can't do with live action, and that feels extremely apparent here. Sure, I still find Toothless to be a cool and adorable dragon, and I was still somewhat moved by the dynamic he has with Hiccup, but there's nothing you could take away from this that you couldn't already take away from the original. Overall, there's nothing egregiously bad about this remake, but I still found it to be a waste of time, money, and attention, mainly because it lacks artistic integrity. I understand why one of the original directors came back, because DreamWorks pretty much said that they were going to do this remake with or without him, so I can't really blame him for its existence. What I can blame it on is corporate greed, and that I will. I give How to Train Your Dragon, the live-action remake, a 2.5 out of 5.